What's good YouTube, Venny here. Today I'm going to be bringing you the 4-4-2 formation guide. These are the tactics and I'm going to give you sort of some reasons why I use the 4-4-2 to get top 200 over the previous weeks. So I thought why not actually give you a sort of guide or review on how to use 4-4-2 and where it's best for and for different types of playstyles compared to other formations in the game. If you are new around here, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We are trying to hit 5k by the end of the year. It's a very big ask, but I think with your guys' help we can definitely do it. Leave a like, leave a comment of your favourite formation in FIFA 21, and let's get into the video. So yes, as I said, 4-4-2 is probably my main formation this year. I used the two variations of it. There's obviously the one with CDMs and one with centre mid, and I'll explain which one's better for different player styles later on in the video. But this is my go-to formation this year, and the main reason I've done that, previous years I've used 4-2-3-1 since like FIFA 18 I think, and non-stop. That was the only formation I used. I still use that formation quite a bit. My thought process this year is actually I want to score more goals, and I think me playing 4-4-2 allows that, because 4-2-3-1 is that very structured formation, where 4-4-2 is a little bit more attacking. You've got them two strikers, the two wingers. Even though it's the same amount of people in attack, it's actually where they're based. Obviously with 4-2-3-1 you've got that Cam who links everything up, but he's not right next to the striker when you're doing them quick counter attacks. And obviously that's why I've gone with 4-4-2, because I want to score goals. And I'll quickly go over like sort of some positions, what I'm looking at mainly, like what type of players I'm looking for. Right back and left back, I'm just looking for them pacey defenders, your typical right backs and left backs. Same with the centre backs, is your typical fast defenders. That's all you need. On the wingers, I'm looking for a lot of pace, and if they've got it, the shooting's obviously a nice bonus, but obviously that's when you're looking at the higher budget players. But as for example, I'm not sure if you can see who actually is at my right mid spot. Galza Martins was the guy who I used on this account. He's ridiculously good when it comes to the pace and the dribbling and taking man on. So I'm looking for like them 4-star skills plus type players with a load of pace to play on the wings, and Mbappe was the other winger. My midfielders, depending which variation I'm playing, if I'm using the 4-4-2 with the centre mids versions, I'm looking for two centre mids who can do the attacking and the defending duty. But you can easily get away with maybe one more being defensive and one more being attacking. But for me, when I use the 4-4-2 with the centre mids, I like them to be able to do both things, because I find with 4-4-2 flat, it's actually the centre mids come up a little bit more novice compared to the one with the CDMs, and that's because different tactics, different natural positions the centre mids take compared to a CDM. So I want my centre mids to be able to do a bit of everything really when it comes to it. And then my strikers, doesn't really matter. I think you can really use anyone up top if whoever you want. I think you could use João Felix if you really want to, but I've gone with the Ronaldo Neymar sort of combo, but not everyone's got that type of money. But strikers don't really matter. It's more so I would say that the most important positions would be the wingers and the centre mids in this formation. Let's get into the basic 4-4-2 first of all, and what makes 4-4-2 different to, I guess, the 4-4-2 second variation. As I mentioned, the main thing is with the centre mids, it's obviously their positioning. What I noticed, even I'll quickly go into the instructions actually, what I use personally is stay back while attacking and cover centre on the centre mids. Even with stay back while attacking on the centre mids, they come up a lot more. On my CDMs, on my 4-4-2 and my 4-2-3-1, I usually have stay back, and obviously if you've got to stay back on them, a lot of times they're staying back, they're not coming forward. But when you've got to stay back on the centre mids, they still come forward quite often. But as I said, this is sort of the guide, where I sort of help you guys figure out sort of tactics and instructions, what's going to help you guys perform to the best of your ability and make you realise what you want to do. First off, we take the corners down to 2 or 3. It really is preference. It doesn't really matter too much, to be honest with you. 2 to be on the safer side if you don't want to get countered. 3 is just basic really. I've seen a lot of people use between 4 and 5 really with the 4-4-2, because the right mid and left mid, most of the time you'll come back on defense with them. You'll keep your wide structured defense because of them right mids and left mids, and then your right backs will sort of tuck in a little bit tighter, and it sort of goes back into not as such as like what would be like a 6-back, not as that deep, but because the right mids and left mids don't drop that deep, but you've got the cover on the wings from your right mid and left mid, so you don't really need to worry too much really regarding that. So if you want to use a tighter width, so when people come into the middle of your team, it's a little bit more tighter, you can definitely drop it down to 4 width. I always recommend use between 4, 5 and 6 width. If you are behind and you're trying to chase the game but you're wanting to keep your 4-4-2 formation, this is when you would look to up your width, because What you want is obviously a wider team when you're playing somebody who's holding the ball, because if they try and switch it, or they try and get it to their wingers or wing backs, if you have a wider team, your players should naturally be positioned onto them players a lot easier. So that's something to consider if you're behind. And obviously you would up the depth a lot if you are going to do that. Probably like, depending on your defensive style, actually I don't even think it really matters on defensive style, you're probably looking to go to like 7, but that obviously depends on the scoreline, the minute, and so on. Defensive styles, you've got balanced, pressure and heavy touch, press after possession loss, constant pressure, and drop back. I'm seeing a lot of people use drop back, which is a bit unfortunate, but I don't really recommend it personally, because with drop back, you're allowing people to attack you, and if you're going to play them people who are better than you, okay, you might shut them down for maybe 20 minutes of the game at the start of the game, but eventually these better players are slowly going to just make more and more chances against you. They're going to have a lot of space through the middle, and that they're going to make the most of that space if obviously they're on it. So I don't really recommend drop back. I recommend balance, because you get a bit of everything. You can do the pressing, you can do the deeper line if you really want to. There's obviously a few options what you could do there, but I have seen a lot of people use pressure on heavy touch and press after possession loss with the 4-4-2. I know Jazz, formerly with West Ham, he's using press after possession loss. No, he's on heavy touch, and Stokes is using press after possession loss. And I think that's more so what I'm noticing when I'm using like team press. What makes team press so overpowered is actually the passing goes a little bit wayward. I feel like the passing goes into the favour of the person who's defending rather than the attacking. But if you're not on that press, if you're on that balance and a drop back, I feel like the game's really automated and actually helps you a lot in that attacking sense, because your players are not pressing, you just don't get them natural position. So if you want to be a little bit more aggressive in your team, you go, you know what, I want to be the guy who's asking the questions, putting them on the back foot. Press on heavy touch and possession loss is the way forward to go. But for me, I keep everything balanced, because I can press quite nicely with balance once you get used to it. Depth as well, I would look between 4, 5 and 6 as your standard, like going into the game sort of depth. But obviously depending on the score lines and so on, you might want to lower it if you're getting to the later stages of the games, or if you're behind, you're obviously going to want to up it. But for me, I just have 4 depth to keep it basic. Yeah, that's what's been working for me. Offensive styles, you've got balance, long ball, fast build up, possession. And do you know what? I think all of these actually work with 4-4-2. It really depends on your play style. Possession's very obvious. If you want the ball to the feet a lot of times, work your way around the pitch and slowly and build up that way. Okay, use possession. I would say a lot of times I play more possession based, but I don't use possession offensive style, and that is because with balance, what I noticed with possession a lot of times, as you can even see on the diagram on the right, is that the players come towards the ball. When you're on balance, you have the option of your players going towards the ball and moving away from the ball. Possession is obviously always bringing to the ball, and that where I was saying I wanted to score more goals this year, and especially when it comes to like competitive play. Having balance will obviously allow that, because I've got that, like, I guess the balance mindset where they do the attack, they can do the behind passes, or they can come close. It really depends. I like to have control basically over what's happening, and a balance basically gives me that. Long ball is very similar to fast build up. They're very, very similar. I wouldn't say there's one what's more gung-ho. Well, actually, I would say fast build up's probably more gung-ho than the other, but if you like the way fast build-up plays, but you don't like how it is through the middle of the pitch, you don't like your middle build-up, long ball is your way forward, because I feel like it gives you the best option of that. But, of course, with long ball and fast build-up, they're constantly trying to run in behind, and at times it can be hard to build up, especially if somebody's pressing you. You're not going to have too many options, so keep that into consideration if you're looking to use one of those two. I personally just use balance because it's a bit of everything, Attacking width, once again, something what I always say with the defensive width, always look between 4, 5 and 6. If you're playing a little bit of a wider sort of style, you like to use the wings, 6 could be the way forward. If you like to maybe have your wingers just coming in slightly, 4 width could be the option, but for me I just have it on 5, keep it pretty basic. I'm used to them sort of natural positionings. Playing the box, we got 4. I'm not really too sure with this stuff, to be honest with you. It's a variation of a few things you can do. I would say if you're behind, obviously ramp this up to more players in the box, but basically I like to use between like 4, 5 I would say I don't usually go up higher than 6 and 7, but that's mainly because I haven't really experimented with that too much. I kind of like how my team sort of plays when they've got 4 in the box, so that's something I'm happy with. Obviously, it's something what you can experiment with. If you find you're getting down the wing but you need more support in the box, or your centre mids or your CDMs needing to come up a little bit more, maybe putting 6 players in the box could actually help you with that. But for me, I have it on 4 just to keep everything simple. Instructions, what you're really looking for are the main ones are stay back while attacking on your right back and left back. This is obviously because you want your teams to be a lot more defensive when it comes to the defending sort of side of the game. Because 4-4-2 is an attacking formation in my opinion. It's a formation where you can score goals but also concede a lot of goals depending on how you're defending. So if you can have that extra help with stay back while attacking on the right back and left back, obviously that's going to help a lot. And you don't really need the right backs and left backs to be helping on the wings because you've got wingers. You know, what's the point of you actually having them coming forward unless you need the numbers coming forward if you're losing, for example. So I would recommend stay back while attacking so you're not getting countered too hard and your wings not completely exposed for your opponent to run through. Instructions usually on the centre mids, I put stay back while attacking and cover centre. As I mentioned quite a few times already in this video, with 4-4-2, the basic version, the centre mids will just naturally come up higher because that's the base of a centre mid sort of style. Even with stay back while attacking, they're still going to help you in attack because it's just the natural positions they take. So I put stay back while attacking and cover centre on both of them because of that main reason. If it's the CDM version, it's a completely different. I'll quickly go over that after we've gone through the basic 4-4-2. But for me, stay back while attacking and cover centre are the main two. Really, when it comes to centre mid, you could do balance if you really want on one of them, but as I said, they naturally come forward, so you don't really need to do that. Come back on defense, I would say it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's vital with 4-4-2 because you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But as I said, this formation is a very attacking formation anyway, so you don't really need them to be too high up. You do need them sometimes helping you out the back because you are a lot of times going to be exposed if they don't drop back, because obviously you're going to have them one-on-one situations with your wing backs. So if you can get an extra hand on the wings with come back on defense on your wingers, why not do that? They don't drop as deep as last year, but they still do drop in some sort of decent decisions for you to nick the ball off people. So come back on defense on them. You can do a few different things as well with the chance creations. As I mentioned, if you're a little bit more of a wing player, maybe you want to look a bit, stay wide on your players, you could even put cut inside. Cut inside was one of the things I used a lot at the start of me using 4-4-2 because I found like I was playing through the middle a lot and I wanted my wingers to come inside, so I had that option to obviously do that pass into them. If they was out wider, it was sometimes a little bit harder to find them, but as time's gone on, as I've learned the formation, I prefer them having on balance because they come inside, they also stay wide, and yeah, you get it, the simple things. And obviously supporting runs you've got, come short, target man, and getting behind. You don't really need to do any of them. A lot of people will use getting behind on your wingers, but as I say, sometimes I like my wingers to give me an option to feet, so I don't really want them to always be running behind. And if I want them to run in behind, I can just trigger it with using LB or L1 depending on what controller I'm using. Supporting crosses is also a big thing this year. Getting bots for crosses, I feel like it's being used quite a lot in a 4-2-3-1. I don't think it's really needed in 4-4-2 as much, but you can definitely put that on if you're enjoying it with a 4-2-3-1 and you're like, you know what, I want to try 4-4-2. How good is this formation? Strikers, for me, I like to have one. I usually use target man like last year, but I don't really like the position it takes up this year. So I sort of want one of my strikers to be that the striker who sort of comes to feet sometimes, and you know, gives you that option as like that target man sort of style, but also be able to run in behind. So I've got Ronaldo, for example, here. Obviously he comes with ridiculously good height, good on the ball and so on. So they're the type of players who I'm looking for on the right, more so like the stronger, taller players who are decent on the ball. I have it all on balance on him because I still want him to be able to run behind. If I have target man, a lot of times this year, I feel like they play like a false nine and they drop too deep, but I still want that guy to be on their centre backs so I can still do them 1-2s if I want to with my striker. My partner striker, and that would be Neymar. Here you would want your quicker striker, I would say, the guy who's going to be nicking in behind and, you know, scoring probably most of your goals, if I'll be totally honest. So I got getting behind on him. I did use getting behind a lot at the start of the year on both of them. And that's actually quite good because the way through balls are working and so on, obviously it's a little bit more effective. So you could definitely use that, but I just felt like when I was playing against the top players, I didn't need somebody sort of dropping in that hole and giving me an option, getting behind on the left one. So I still have that opportunity to stretch the opponent with them sort of through balls. So that's what I would personally use in 4-4-2 and sort of give you some ideas depending on how you play with the 4-4-2. The other variation of it, sorry, is the 4-4-2 second variation with the 2 CDMs, and it's the same tactics I would personally use all the way through, and same with instructions, apart from 2 things, and that would be, as I mentioned, with the centre mids, they still come forward. With the CDMs, if you stay back while attacking on the CDMs, it's very rare that they do come forward and give you a nice option when you're attacking, and it's nice to have that extra number through the middle, just so you can keep your opponent thinking when you're attacking. So that's why I've got balanced attacking support on my Sadov and cover center. Obviously with this you would want maybe one more defensive player and one more attacking, or you could get away with like what I've got, they can do a bit of both. Basic on Sadov and stay back while attacking is the only variation on the 4-4-2. What I would say, if you're not enjoying the way 4-4-2 basic version defends, try the 4-4-2 second variation. It's my go-to this year because it's just a little bit more structured, more defensive, so you're not leaking goals left, right and centre, but it's still got the same benefits as the 4-4-2. It's just a little bit, I would say the gap between your CDMs and your strikers is a little bit more open, so all you need to do is put balance and you'll probably cover that sort of basis. But yeah, that is it for the video, guys. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the 4-4-2 this year, and peace.